Okay, I'd like to welcome everyone. My name is Martha Prue, and I'm the president-elect of the Bradenton branch of AAUW, the American Association of University Women. It is my pleasure to welcome everyone today and to thank you all for joining the Bradenton branch AAUW as we celebrate Women of Achievement 2014. We have a room full of very special people attending this event today. Each person has a passion to help an individual, a group, and/or a community, or you wouldn't be here. We are individual candles lighting our own way, and when we get together as a group, like in this room, the light from our individual candles lights the whole room. Today, we will recognize and celebrate 5 women in our community. We are so very proud of their contributions and accomplishments, and we've come together to share in this celebration. In doing so, we rekindle our passions and help light the way for women that are just beginning their journey. This is our 8th year honoring local women of achievement. At this time, I would like to acknowledge a few members of our group. We have past Women of Achievement honorees, so please stand and remain standing as I call your names. Jan Entwistle, Faye Murphy, Connie Schindeldecker, Marlene Woodson Howard, June Isbell. We have a generous donation from Dr. Mona Jane, and we also have the family of Marge Canan. Thank you very much, our former honorees. We have students from Bayshore and Southeast High Schools representing future Women of Achievement. Ladies, please stand and be recognized. We have Paula Jean, Venetia Jean, and Julie Laguerre. These ladies compete in Technology Student Association. Paula is the Florida State Champion in Structural Engineering, along with Nahidia Promise. And the ladies together as a team are top 10 in fashion design. Remain standing for a moment. We have the team from Southeast High School, Jillian Polino, Sophia Markart, and Susan Gibson. They are the first all-female robotics team in Manatee County, and they finished 6th in the state of Florida in TSA. Only 2 of these young ladies are seniors. Jillian Polino just found out that she's been accepted at the University of Florida. And Sophia Markart is hoping to hear shortly from the Ringling School where she plans to study film. So congratulations, ladies. We're very proud of you. So you may sit. Thank you. Please take a moment and thank our Women of Achievement Committee led by Nan Rankin, who organized this wonderful event. Would the committee please stand and be recognized? Nan's in the back. Oh, ladies, there were a lot more of you that helped with this committee today. This was a big event. Thank you so much. Special thanks to Richard Jensen on piano and Steve Graham for putting together the raffle baskets. Gentlemen, please stand. We have Charles Clapsaddle and Steve Hensel from METV filming the event for us today. And we also want to thank our families for their support at each and every one of our events. We couldn't do it without you. The Women of Achievement event is our primary fundraiser for our Scholarship Foundation. At this time, please welcome our Scholarship Foundation President, Peggy Butkier.
You're taller. Hi, I'm the new president of the Scholarship Foundation, and we have been offering scholarships for a number of years now to students who meet the criteria of being at least 25 years old, returning to college, having at least 60 credit hours, and are working towards a degree. They have to be from Manatee County or Sarasota County. And the amounts range from $2,000 to $6,000, and as long as they maintain a 3.0 GPA we will continue to provide financing for them until they graduate. So we appreciate all your support today. This is our big fundraiser, and we have two scholarship recipients here. I'm not sure where they are right this second. Okay. We have Petra Vibaralova and Undine Shorey, who are both current receiving funds.
How happy are we that we have this young generation of scholars with us today to help us to continue our practice of recognizing women who have gone before us and who have given us the opportunities that we have today. So thank you, young ladies, very much. The 2014 Women of Achievement honorees are the embodiment of work and service to make the lives of women and children better in Manatee County. It is what AAUW is all about. Our honorees today are each a light, providing a safe harbor to others in 5 specific ways. However, if you join their lights together, you get this powerful beacon that floods our community and offers so much to others: empowerment, independence, literacy, health, and safety. Their stories are all in your programs. As program director of the Healthy Start Coalition of Manatee County, Luz Coquera is passionate that every baby has the best start in life through education and the empowerment of families. Her advocacy for immigration reform, human trafficking, awareness and literacy literacy for all reflect her passion for social justice. Luz lit the way to the development of the first community health care workers program in Florida. Please help me welcome Luz Guerrero for our conversation. Our microphones are kind of tricky, so I'll move back and you can move forward. Okay? Okay. Luz, share with us what or who was the greatest influence in your life and how it's played out for you in your work.
Well, first of all, I want to say that I am very honored to be here among so many wonderful people, especially so many accomplished women that have paved the way for all of us. So thank you for this honor. And to answer your question, Anne, I have to say that my parents were the most influential people in my life. They were a couple who rely on their love for each other, their faith in God, and their love for their children. My parents instilled in me and my siblings that education was one of the most important values, that education was the key to open many doors and to close the doors on poverty. And also, my mom was especially very influential. She was like a quiet storm, and she would never settle for anything. She had a voice, and she would stand up for any injustices. So I try to live my parents' legacy, acting with love, compassion, and kindness. Thank you.
Thank you. So is there a quote or a saying or a philosophy that influences your work?
I admire very much Mother Teresa of Calcutta. And she said once that the reason why we don't have peace, it's because we have forgotten that we belong to each other. And I take that at heart. This is a perfect example that we are remembering how connected we are with each other, that we are brothers and sisters, and we are a community that has a heart and that cares for people. And her words resonate every day in the work I do. And I try to remember that we are a community, we have a shared responsibility, and we can move and understand across borders, religion, language, race. We are just one race, the human race.
career. So, is there advice that you could give our young ladies in the back of the room as they begin their life work?
What I would say, and what I've said to my children, and my daughter is here today, be who you are, be proud of who you are. Embrace your cultural values, embrace all the principles that you want to live your life ruled by. And also, don't be afraid to speak up. Don't be afraid to ask for what you need. You have a voice. And I would say that when you choose a path in your career, in your working life, make sure that you are engaged in something that you love, that it becomes your passion, something that is not going to feel like work, something that you wake up every day and you are very happy and really anxious to get your hands on. And you can live your dreams to the fullest. Take every opportunity that this nation can offer and go for it, because we are trusting on the younger generations, and I'm so glad to see so many young women in the room today. You are our future, and we are counting on you to make this nation a greater nation. Thank you.
So, was there one lesson that was the hardest for you to learn?
That's a very difficult question, but I'm going to say that I am still in shock to see that women, working women, have a hard time to be able to have the dual role of working and being a mother. Unfortunately, we are not a nation that supports women when they are pregnant, women who are breastfeeding sometimes. I'm still trying to find a way to help all the women that we serve at Healthy Start, for instance, so that their workplaces have a breastfeeding policy in place. And also to see that the society and the community understand that being a mother is very rewarding, but also very challenging. And we need the laws and we need the support so that women can thrive and excel in their roles as mothers and as professionals. And I can see that some of the people that we elect with our vote, and they are in positions of power, they have total disregard for this. And so there is still a long fight for us. There is a little step that we move forward with the Affordable Care Act. Pregnancy is no longer a condition. And so we are seeing some of the benefits, but we still have a long way to go. Thank you.
So our last question is there something you wished we had asked?
Well, I guess what I would like to do is to take this opportunity to talk about the 11 million people who are still living in the shadows, the undocumented people who came to this country with dreams, just the dream to have a dignified life. They didn't come here to take anybody's jobs. And people who work very hard, who live in the shadows, who contribute to this society, who worship with us, who shop, who have made possible for us to have this wonderful luncheon today. And they are not recognized. And I think it's about time for us to demand comprehensive and humane immigration reform.
So please introduce your family to us.
Well, thank you so much for the opportunity to introduce my family. I'm going to start with my husband, Luis. Luis, please stand up. Luis and I have been married for 34 years, and he's a true partner. Luis supports all my many commitments in the community with grace, and he is always one step ahead of me when I think I have things that are not under control. He's thinking about all the details, and Luis shares my passion for education and also for empowering women. And so he's been a true partner, a great father for our two daughters, and the best husband that I can ever ask for. So thank you. And I'm going to introduce my daughter, Daniela. Daniela is my youngest daughter. And my oldest daughter is not here. She works and lives abroad. But Daniela and Mariela have been the blessing in my life, in our lives. And they are proof that you can do anything you want in life. They are very accomplished two young women, and they make us very proud every day. So this is my biological family. But I also have my family in the community. As you probably may not know, I am originally from Peru, and then we moved to Canada, and we emigrated to Canada and moved to Florida. And so in extending our family, we've relied in the friendship of so many people. So I want to introduce my other family members, my Project Life family. Please stand up. This is a literacy center in Bradenton that was founded by Sister Nora Brick 20 years ago. And the mission is to empower people with giving them the gift of language. And I'm very proud to be a part of that family. I also have my family of Our Lady of the Angels and the Rice School for Pastoral Ministry. Please stand up. These wonderful ladies that have been with me. And then my friend Kathy Shersten, who should be receiving this award. She was due to get this award a long time ago. Kathy, thank you for being here. And of course, my oldest daughter sent her representation, her two best friends, Jared and Mark. Thank you for being with us. And all of you, I know that John Chulok and some other people approached me to say hello and thank you. And if you support women and you support women's education and you support maternal child health and social justice, please stand up. You are all my extended family. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
Good job. So Luz, please accept this memento. Our theme today is shining the light for others, and it's a candle so that you can keep on shining. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. A life of exemplary service and advocacy started for Barb Lombardo 37 years ago when their son Christopher was born. Volunteering at Chris's special education school morphed into advocacy for adults with developmental disabilities. As a founding member of Manatee Arc, a nonprofit organization serving those with special needs, Barb was instrumental in opening an adult training center in 2000. Barb served on the board for many years, lighting the way for others, eventually serving over 200 adults, including overseeing 6 group homes. Her tireless volunteer efforts helped raise over $300,000 for Mark. Please help me welcome Barbara Lombardo, 2014 Woman of Achievement. So Barbara, what or who influenced you, and how is that playing out in your life's work?
Thank you so much, Nan, and thank you for this honor. And I don't want you to get scared because you saw this. I'm like pretending I'm at the Oscars, and they all say, I just have a little note to give, some information. I thought I'd wing it, but I decided the best thing for me is to have it written down. So I apologize, but I'm going to read my answer. I think learning that we were parents of a very special needs child is most certainly a defining moment in your life, which sets you on a journey filled with joys, sorrows, incredible love, personal discovery, and many wonderful and sometimes challenging experiences. I was blessed throughout this journey to meet so many wise, informative, helpful, and concerned people who eventually led us, with 4 other involved families to form Minnesota ARC. an organization created to help developmentally disabled individuals. Fortunately, I was lucky enough to travel on this journey with a loving and supportive husband who has also been an incredible dad, along with so many helpful people, too numerous to mention individually. All of these contributed to making our lives a lot less challenging along the way, for which I will always be very, very grateful.
Don't do that. It's a priority.
You know me. I wouldn't hurt me, please.
So, is there a philosophy or a quote or a saying that influences your work?
I used to sing a small verse from a song to my son Chris that I pretty much have tried to keep in mind and even continue to do so to this day. I will, of course, spare you my singing. But it goes like this. You have to accentuate the positive, eliminate the negative, latch on to the affirmative, and don't mess with Mr. In-Between. And trust me, that Mr. In-Between is what usually gets you in trouble and is pretty tricky. And I have always felt you have a choice in life, like choosing to be miserable or happy, and I choose to be happy.
And for the young women and men in our audience, what advice would you give them as they begin their life's work?
It may sound a little cliche, but for me, it works. Just be happy in whatever you choose to do, and definitely trust your gut instinct. It will lead you in the right direction. I know that when I don't listen to that little inner voice, I usually get myself into a lot of trouble. Also, depend on friends, family, and especially other women for support and encouragement. We can truly be of so much help to each other. Personally speaking, the friendships of the women in my Mother's Night Out group have been so important for me over the past 28 years plus. There have been times in my life that I know I made it through because of the support, love, and friendship of these special ladies, my family, and a whole lot of very dear friends who are in the audience and know who they are. Above all, be good to yourself, go easy on yourself, and leave being perfect for when you're in heaven.
Good job. And was there a lesson that was the hardest for you?
Yes, I guess that would be to accept what you can't change and don't let it defeat you. Let it make you stronger. It took me a bit of time to learn this one, but once I focused on moving forward, instead of trying to change the impossible, life got easier, happier, and oh, so much better.
And is there a question you wished we had asked?
Yes, this is a special one. I would have liked you to ask who my hero was. And I want to say it's my son, Chris, for all that he has accomplished and overcome, and for the very nice young man he has turned out to be. I am so very proud of you, Chris. You are my hero, and as I have always told you, having you for a son has definitely made me a much better person. And to the AAUW, I am very appreciative to you, and don't you do that. And thank you for choosing to honor me. I really do feel very honored.
And would you introduce your family, please?
Yes, my husband, Bob, is here. Don't let Chris come up, because if he gets a hold of the microphone, that'd be the end of that. My son, Chris. My sister, Pat. My sister-in-law, Linda. The ladies in my Mother's Night Out group are here, too, for support. and a lot of my dear friends. They're also part of my family. They're all located at the two tables. And thank you so very much for coming and for getting me through the good times and the bad times in my life. Love you all.
For you. Put martinis in it later. Please accept this memento from our group today, Barbara, for leading the light to independent living for many people. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have to tell you a little personal story. Barb and Bob lived next door to me for 3 or 4 years, so it was a wonderful, wonderful time. Laurel Lynch is the current executive officer for HOPE Family Services, Manatee's certified domestic violence service provider. According to West Coast Women, May 2000, I quote, "Domestic violence is an epidemic everywhere. People are trapped in relationships they cannot leave due to a lack of money. Helping those trapped by domestic violence and offering a lifeline of safety is where HOPE comes in." Laurel accepted the position of executive position in 1996 after volunteering in Sarasota for over 10 years. She's been at the helm of HOPE, offering safe harbor to women and children in our community. Her dedication to ending domestic violence has garnered her local, state, and national awards. Laurel is also an example of the non-traditional students for whom our scholarships support. She earned her bachelor's in her 30s and a master's degree in her 40s. To hear more of her personal story, please welcome Laurel Lynch.
That's my family. The shy, quiet, retiring folks. Thank you.
They all surprise us, don't they? So share with us, please, who or what was the greatest influence in your life and how that plays out in your life.
Thank you very much for being here. Thank you for this award. And to be in such great company is simply amazing. I have to, I think everybody fairly often says the same thing, but I have to credit my parents. I like to think that I have the best of both of them. My father, patient, kind. My mother, funny, irreverent. And I think I'm a little bit of all of that. So I really appreciate it. And Barb, good to know you're from Yonkers and the Bronx. Me too. So I think the Bronx had a little influence on me. I just don't talk like that anymore so much.
So is there a quote or a philosophy or a saying that guides your life work?
Some of the quotes that guide my life's work, I don't know I can repeat in polite company. I have a sense of humor, and I just most recently saw a movie, you may have seen it, The Best Exotic Marigold Hotel, and I just love that movie. I can watch it probably 10 more times. But one of the things the gentleman said, and Dev Patel, the actor, he's on Newsroom if you watch that show, he said, "It'll be all right in the end. And if it's not all right, it's not the end." And so that's kind of how I look at it. We get stressed day to day, we have challenges, and I used to get really excited about things when I was younger. I like to think I'm a little more mature now. And I think, just not the end. There's more to be done.
And for our young people, what advice would you give them as they begin their life work?
Oh, enjoy being young, because let me tell you, you're going to wake up one day and say, how did I get in my 50s? What? So have fun. Do what you love. And one of the other things about this movie that I found so interesting, these folks, if you haven't seen it, they go to a retirement home in India. And it's not what they expected. And honestly, is that not just life? Sometimes it's just not what you expect. And some of those folks handled it with grace and finesse, and some were kind of grumpy. And we have a choice, much like Barb said and Lou's before me. We have a choice how we look at these things. And so, take the high road. And the other thing I always try and remember, you never know what somebody else is going through when you meet them. And I try to be kind always.
So was there a lesson that was hardest for you?
Today? The last 10 minutes? I've learned lessons all the time. I don't like to fail, and I work so hard, and I unfortunately hold myself to such a high level of achievement and results-driven that I probably drive people around me a little crazy. Lesson I'm still working on, but I'm trying to take it all with a bit more grace. It's a work in progress.
And is there a question you wish that we had asked?
I have racked my brain to come up with something witty at this point, and I have to tell you, I have nothing. I think you've asked me great questions, but I do just want to say that while I and the other recipients are being honored here today, it really takes so much more than just us. I couldn't do what I do and offer sanctuary to battered women and their kids without the ongoing support of the people around me. And not just at Hope, but people in the community, all of you. I've seen so many folks that I know here today that were not necessarily part of my table. And I thought, you know what, it really does take all of it. And I'm so grateful that I'm here in Manatee County and that I know you and that I'm a recipient of this award. I'm not sure my family needs any introduction, but my mom, who is here and always supports me, is always in my corner. My husband, Norm Hale, Mr. Radio. Thanks for coming, Normie. I appreciate it. And my not blood family, but our peeps, are all here, table there, table there, table there. Thank you all for coming. There's volunteers and board members and staff members at Hope and my dear friends and my very best friend who unfortunately got snagged in a car accident on US 41 who's not here yet, but he will be. And you'll know because he'll make an entrance. And so, again, thank you from the bottom of my heart. It's beautiful.
And thank you for continuing the light for so many people who live in danger. Thank you, Laurel.
Thank you.
Dr. Merrie Lynn Parker is a name recognized not only in the world of education, but in the girls' sports arena and in our local, state, and national AAUW organizations. She worked to institute the Title IX legislation and continues to work toward our shared goal of making a positive difference in the lives of women and families. Those in the Manatee Fish and Game Association value the work of Merrie Lynn and in her voicing concern for environmental impact of coastal development and awareness of the critical importance of the headwater area to our water source. The consistent questions asked by this professional educator rang loud and clear through our school district. What does a community of learners and leaders look like? She would ask. How can each student be successful? What are you going to change in this learning environment? From high school teacher, administrator, executive director of the West Central Educational Network to Manatee District's executive director of academics, Dr. Parker lit the way for students, teachers, and leaders in our community. Please welcome Dr. Merrie Lynn Parker. Got some fans here.
Thank you. Well, hello. Whew, I was quite befuddled when I received a phone call a couple of months ago. My sister and my cousin were sitting at the Anna Maria City Pier reminiscing and having lunch, and a phone call came in on the cell phone saying that I was to be honored, and I was just really befuddled, and I remain befuddled. So I thank you very much for this honor. And I'm just so happy to be here among you. This morning I woke up in atrial fibrillation, but I went back in rhythm while we were eating, so I'm back on my feet. Yes, it's a good thing.
So tell us who or what was the influence in your life and how it plays out in your world today.
Well, my world today is very different than my work world. But thinking about work, I'd have to say that my parents, as so many of us have said, were certainly an influence in terms of their work ethic. I don't think I knew two harder working people in this world. And so work was always important to me. It wasn't until, though, that I had lost a job that I realized how important my work was. I was very fortunate at one point to have Marilyn Katzenmeyer, who's with us today, kind of picked me out of a pool of people who were learning new things about principal leadership and carried me off to Tampa to work with her. And it was during that time when I was with her that the state changed their mind about how they wanted to do things in Florida and no longer thought that we needed help with principals in the leadership role, and changed their funding, and I was out of a job. So I really got to thinking about what my work is. And the work, of course, is what's good for students. So I think the whole idea of work and its importance to us in our lives is probably the biggest influence.
Hear, hear. And a philosophy or quote or saying that guides your life?
Well, most of my work was around change. It seemed like it was during a time when everything that we used to do didn't work, or nobody thought it worked, and we needed to find a way to get different results. And a lot of my work was in school improvement. And Judy Kryling, who's here with me today, and I had an experience with a person out at Dayspring. We had a lot of our training sessions out at Dayspring. It's a lovely, lovely place to learn. But a quote that person we were working with said has really stuck with me, and in terms of thinking about advice to young people, here it's coming in early, but the quote is, "What's possible lives in our quiet knowing that there is a better way. And out of this possibility comes action. And we're waiting because no one else can do your part." And each of the times we had to think about how we were going to shift and how we were going to change and what we were going to do, we have to remember that within each of us we know what's right. It's not just always doing the right thing, it's doing what's right. So that seemed to keep me steering and looking for new ways to do things better.
Do you want to say more to the young people? Or
Oh, I'll say more to the young people if you want.
okay.
I'll come up with something.
Okay. So for the young people and gentlemen in our audience, what advice as they begin their life work?
Well, being very goal-oriented, I had to keep reminding myself, and certainly my daughter is having to do this as well, very goal-oriented, very results-oriented, as Laura said, looking for getting better results. And oftentimes the goal becomes the thing we're always after, and we're forgetting that the whole journey of getting there is really what life is. And spending every day, every moment with the joy and the experience of just being as we are. So just enjoy every minute of the journey.
Well said. And was there a lesson that was hardest for you?
Some of my Manatee High people are here, and I certainly learned a lot of lessons when I was assistant principal there, made a lot of mistakes. And Pat Lucas is here. She came in as a principal later in my time at Manatee High and helped make mistakes with me. And my friend Susan Garrett, who taught at Manatee High, was holding her head up even when the mistakes would throw us asunder, and Lynn Boyer, who was there picking up the pieces, and Judy Kryling, who worked with me. I think the biggest thing is, and then probably the reason why I was so befuddled to be honored this way, is that I never did anything by myself. Everything was done with others who shared the same vision, had the same goals, had the same passion, and it was doing it together that really caused us to make the marks and the achievements that we did. Oftentimes, I would feel like I was trying to turn a tanker. I wasn't a tugboat. I was in my snorkel mask and flippers, pushing on the stern of the boat, not even the bow, trying to get it to budge in a new direction. I'm looking at some of my colleagues from the district, and they know how hard we pushed and shoved. I can only hope that the new administration has all the answers. But and I want to recognize too Lynette Edwards, who was someone who always took a chance, involved me in her shenanigans so that we got charter schools in Manatee County, we got academies in Manatee County, and those still survive today through all that work. And my colleague in crime, Fran Pageant, who were able to prove to Lynette that we could work as a team and bring the silos of departments together and work as one. And I think that was probably the biggest contribution. And now I don't even remember what the question was. Get the poll.
The hardest one.
Oh, the hardest lesson was certainly knowing that you can't do anything by yourself and that you have to work, you not have to, you must work with others to get anything done.
And is there something you wished we had asked? Be nice.
Why me? I really can't think of anything I wished you had asked. I'm going to have a chance to talk about my family next, so I think I'll wait for that.
Introduce your family for us.
Well, I'd love to. First, my granddaughter Emma, who's dying to be on TV, Charles. So Emma, come on up here and stand right here while I finish talking. So Grammy, I get to be on TV. Emma is 8, and she's a 3rd grader at Stewart Elementary School, and she has a little brother who's Ethan, who's 5, and he had to go stay with his daddy, my son, who's a dentist. And so Emma came, and I wanted her to be here so she could be among these women, all of you, who know what it takes to make your mark on the world. When she saw my name in the paper the other day, oh, look, Parker, that's my name, we're famous. I said, honey, you have to make your own mark in this world. My sister Judy is here. She's here for the winter, and so I have her as a family member. And people, yeah. My daughter Libby is in North Carolina, Chapel Hill. She wishes she were here. She's a nephrologist. She's an executive medical director or some name in Quintiles Research Company, and also practices nephrology. Emma's father's a dentist here in town, and if you need a good dentist, he's a good one. My husband of almost 50 years is home. He's a little bit housebound at this point, but we're really happy that Emma was able to join us today. And thank you.
So please accept this token as someone who we can look up to and appreciate for leading and learning. Thank you.
Thank you.
The last, but hardly the least, of this year's honorees as Women of Achievement, Katie Powers comes with a breathtaking resume. A certified lactation consultant and perinatal educator at Manatee Memorial Hospital's family birthplace. Previously a medical worker in Miami's surgical intensive care unit. Designer of creative play programs for mentally challenged adults. Columnist for the Bradenton Herald's Healthy Living section. Member of Manatee Memorial's emergency response team. Performer of ethnic Irish step dance, and performed at the Kennedy Center, the International School of Ballet, and in Dublin, and a cancer survivor. With this impressive list of achievements, why wouldn't we be surprised to learn that Katie Powers was a volunteer nurse during the Boston Marathon bombing? So please welcome an exemplary medical professional who continues to serve not only those in our community, but across the nation, Katie Powers. Wonderful. Glad you're here. Thank you. So what or who was the influence in your life's work?
Like those who spoke before me, I have to first foremost my parents, children of immigrants who found their way in this country, who never backed down from a challenge. From my mother, who told me and reminded me every day that genius is 98% perspiration and 2% inspiration. So I was told there's nothing that you cannot accomplish, and I hope that's a lesson that my husband and I were able to pass on to our own children.
And do you have a saying or a quote that you live by?
Like Lou's Mother Teresa quote that I hope guides me every day, it's be the one. Not the only one, but be the one who's going to step up and be kind to someone who needs kindness. Be the one who's willing to let someone cry on your shoulders and you are able to cry with them if they need to cry. To be able to laugh. To be the one that's always going to hopefully, like St. Francis said, when preaching the gospel, try not to use words.
That's good. And for our young people, or any young people, what advice would you give them as they begin their life work?
Find your moral compass. A compass is an instrument that tells us whether or not we're going in the right way or the wrong way. And every single one of us has a moral compass. And we must always be aware of that. And as a very wise nurse said to me when I was first starting out in nursing, if you always do what's right for the patient, not necessarily for administration, but for the patient, you will always be okay.
And the hardest lesson for you?
Life doesn't always turn out like you thought it would, but you got to keep on dancing.
Should ask you to dance for us. And is there a question that you wish that we had asked you today?
No, not really. You all have done such a marvelous job, and I'm so humbled by the presence of everyone here, and I feel so privileged to live in Manatee County.
Thank you. So please accept this.
May I mention my family?
Oh.
Of course, I got to tell you, when I first saw this, I went, I mean, I like wine, but that's a pretty generous serving. And please introduce your family. Oh. May I introduce to you one of the most amazing women here, and we have a whole lot of amazing women here. But Janet Lamb, who I am so privileged to work with, and I love her beyond recognition, and very, very proud of her and all that she's done. And thank you, Janet. I love you.
We love you.
Like Barb, I have notes. And it's funny because I start off my notes with, these aren't the Oscars. So I don't get worried that I have too much on here. But as my husband used to say, and he knew me very well, prior planning prevents poor performance, hence I have notes. Thank you all so much for being here to support this scholarship event. Education is indeed the key to success, not only for personal success, but for financial success as well. I would like to give a shout out to heaven. To my husband, Jerry. Thank you for 36 years. Thank you for 5 incredible blessings, Johanna, Sean, Brendan, Andrew, and Bridget. Thank you for encouraging me to become involved with families, because I didn't think I could do this. And thank you, there's a lot of women down here, they're still saying, thank you, Jerry, for telling me for what to do for those sore nipples when Katie wasn't available. I loved you very much. And you would adore our 9 grandchildren. Oh, wait a minute, make that 11. There's Alex and Abby as well. Thank you, Andrew, for being here today. Andrew just came off a week that included 2 24-hour shifts with Manatee County EMS. He's a fire medic with Manatee County EMS. And 3 10-hour shifts in Blake's ER. He's a trauma medic, and I'm so proud of you. His lovely wife, Michelle, is getting ready to graduate from the University of South Florida. My son Brendan's wife, Tricia, who is also working at Blake, and we're just so proud of her and love her, and I'm so grateful that she is here. And her husband, Brendan, is in a Black Hawk helicopter somewhere in the United States of America on his way back from California. I had written out a whole bunch of stuff. I'm going to keep going around the table here. Then there's Brian, who I love and treasure as a son. He's my cousin's son. My cousin's more like a brother, and I'm so grateful he is here, and he has a beautiful wife, Ani. Jen Fairs. God, I love Jen Fairs. Jen Fairs and I met in a ballet class about 10 years ago. I had just finished performing in Coppelia because they needed adult ethnic dancers, and being an Irish step dancer, I thought, I can do ballet. What the heck? Woo, was that hard? I went back to the Irish dance classes, and it turns out it was me and a bunch of 12-year-old girls, and I thought, there's something wrong with this picture, and it was me. So I went back to the ballet company, and they let me stand in the back of the class, and it was high school French, so thank you for my French teacher that got me through ballet. And now ballet is a big part of my life, and Jen, you represent my ballet family. Thank you for being here. Celeste and Scott came down for my mama, and Celeste worked with my daughter in Congress on the Rules Committee for many, many years, and I'm just so grateful that you are here, and I treasure you. My hospital family. God, I love you girls. Being a nurse is not what we do. Being a nurse is who we are. And we are intelligent, caring professionals who care for our patients with diligence, compassion, and clinical competence, and a sense of humor. And thank you to Manatee Memorial, because if it wasn't for Manatee Memorial, Mom's Place would not exist. And there are literally thousands and thousands, since we do about 2,000 deliveries a year, thousands of families that have been impacted by the ability to come to Mom's Place and get education and support. And I thank you all so much, very much, for having me here. And I'll take my glass of wine and
I can't believe I almost missed out on that. That was wonderful. Thank you for making our lives better for all of us, Katie.
So thank you for a fabulous morning and early afternoon and getting to meet members of our community. The light is certainly shining bright. So on behalf of the Bradenton branch of AAUW, congratulations to our honorees. Thank you so much to our attendees, and please keep your passion and light the way for others. We look forward to seeing you again at the 2015 Women of Achievement event next year. Please, everyone, have a safe drive home. Thank you so much.